Hello and welcome to this FPL Gameweek 33 Wildcard Guide video with me, Holly Shand. Had lots of requests to do this. I don't have my wildcard active, but it is one of the really big possibilities if you still have the chip remaining. And if you aren't on a wildcard, there's some important player picks that you're probably going to want going forward anyway. Let's get into it. I think the basis of any wildcard team has to start with Brighton players because they top the fixture ticker to the end of the season with 3 double game weeks. So you're going to get a lot more fixtures for your money than going with other selections. Now, there has been a few changes on the optimal Brighton triple up, and we've seen Alexis McAllister is now looking set for a deeper role because of injuries. We could see Pascal Gross playing right back as well, so that means that we're going to have to look in a little bit more detail at the best picks, and it's Solly March and Caro Matoma that are going to remain in those attacking positions, which are going to be the important picks for the run-in. We've also got a developing situation with the goalkeeper spot. We saw that Steele missed out in game week 31 with a slight knock. Sanchez came in for that game. We then saw Sanchez start in the FA Cup. Now, I do believe that Sanchez is the FA Cup keeper for Brighton since we saw him lose his spot as number 1 in the Premier League. I do expect Steele to come back in for game week 33. But Sanchez has played very well in Steele's absence. So there is a little bit of worry there. So I think if we don't get clarity from Roberto De Zerbi in his press conferences before Tuesday's deadline, it may be better to go with Estupinan in defence as our third Brighton asset on a wild card. The next 2 teams to focus on the fixture ticker are the Manchester clubs, Manchester United and Manchester City, who both have 2 double game weeks before the end of the season. The problem is that they do drain quite a lot of the budget, and we do have rotation to deal with. For Manchester City, Erling Haaland is an absolute lock, but while they remain in a Champions League, it is a risk deciding on whether to go for a midfielder like Mahrez or Grealish to go in alongside them. Now, for me, if you've got a bench boost still to play, then I think Grealish is a really good option. But for those ploughing funds into the 11, I would skip out the Manchester City midfield and the defence as well because of rotation, and maybe look to Ederson in goal. He's not the most exciting FPL pick in general, but I think for the final 6 weeks for the run-in, when he's absolutely nailed on, he's a good place to look. Looking at Manchester United, we've got Rashford and Fernandes, who are the key picks in midfield. Fernandes did look like he picked up a little bit of a knock in the FA Cup semi-final against Brighton. He was subbed on 100 minutes, so it was a strange move for him not to be on the pitch when it came to the penalty shootout. We did see him getting his ankle iced. He is a bit of an indestructible player, rarely misses a game through injury. But, you know, with the schedule coming thick and fast, if there is a little bit of an issue there, then it's going to be a difficult one. And again, he's quite heavy on the budget. So I would go with Rashford. And then in defence, I've picked out Luke Shaw. Now, he could play at centre-back for the remainder of the season given the injury to Martinez, but I don't think that's a major issue. It's a position that he excelled in earlier in the season, and he manages to accumulate bonus points in that position as well. So I'd double up on Manchester City with Haaland and Ederson, and double up on Manchester United with Rashford and Shaw. Now, one side with just 1 double game week remaining is Liverpool, but if you look at their fixture schedule, they haven't got a single difficult fixture before the end of the season. So tripling up on their assets, given the form and the fixtures, seems like a no-brainer. Salah's going to be in a lot of our teams, and I think he's worth every single penny at the moment. He's got great underlying numbers as well, and I think it's fine to double up and get Diogo Jota in your forward lines as well, because he's got 5 attacking returns in 2 game weeks, and you know, Liverpool don't have any other competitions to focus on, so even though the schedule is a little bit congested over the next week, I still think that Jota can really deliver going forward to the end of the season. And Trent Alexander-Arnold is another name that we need on our team sheets. We have to bear in mind he is playing in midfield right now in that inverted fullback role. getting plenty of joy as well. He's got assists in every single game since he took up that advanced positioning, and he's worth every single penny in our fantasy squad. Now, if we're playing the long game here, the other team that we need to look at is Newcastle United, because they're in fantastic form. They don't double in game week 34, but they do double in game week 36. So there's some important picks to note here. Trippier should be a lock in all our sides. I was not too pleased that he didn't get any attacking returns in a 6-1 victory at the weekend. But, you know, he's certainly creating plenty of chances in that game, often assisting the assister, and those points are still to come for him. Alexander Isak looks like a really great option for our forward lines right now, because I do believe that he's a player that is going to continue to get goals, clearly preferred to Callum Wilson. The problem is he's rarely going to get 90, because Wilson tends to come on as an impact player, and if they are a few goals up, then, you know, protecting the players becomes Eddie Howe's priority. Now, if you're tripling up on Newcastle, there's a lot of ways that you can go, but I think doubling up on the defence is good, especially because you can maybe bench the other defender when we get to double game week 34, for example, if you want to get out a full 11 of doublers. So I think Fabian Schär is a great option, currently flagged at the moment, so that's something to keep an eye on. If you don't need him till 36 anyway, it could be a good pickup if we get positive news from Eddie Howe's press conference. But if we don't, you can always look to Botman as well, who's a bit friendlier on the budget, allowing you to get in those big premiums in attack and defence elsewhere. In the wildcard squad that I've put together, I've looked at Iverson as my backup goalkeeper, because I don't need that utility from a backup with a bench boost not left to play. But if you did have a bench boost, then I think Fulham's Leno could be a good option with that double game week in 34 in mind. You may make some different attacking moves as well, bearing in mind the double game week 34 fixtures. Maybe look to bring in those Newcastle players later. And with all the funds kind of focused on the 11, I do think that Fulham's Andreas Pereira is another really useful pick, because he's kind of the talisman of the team. With Mitrovic out, he dominates set pieces, including penalties. Fulham are on the beach, but they are still performing in terms of what we've seen already. And he's a player that's in form, and he's really friendly on the budget as well to have as a really solid first sub for the season running. But again, if you had the bench boost still to play and maybe you've got better team value, you could look to get a Grealish in that position as well and really boost the numbers in terms of doublers for game week 34. I hope you've enjoyed the bonus content from me today. Help this video get to 250 likes and support me on the road to 18k subscribers. Thank you for watching. Any questions, do get in the comments and I'll try and answer them all before the deadline, which comes on Tuesday at 6 p.m. UK time. The deadline stream will go live at 5 p.m, 1 hour before the deadline. Do not miss it. Good luck for FPL Game Week 33.